Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 811 of the Trinity Force Podcast. I am your host, N.A. Eric, and tonight it is me and Bomo and John and Matt. We're talking through patch 13.11 because that's dropped. So, yeah, exciting. We took a week off last week due to staff absences, and then we'd also recorded a double in the previous week. So, yeah, but we are back, and we're excited about it. Well, at least I'm excited about it. Matt, are you excited about it?
I am fully hyped about it. I'm happy to be back.
Sweet, sweet. John, are you excited to be back?
Most excited.
Good. And then Bomo hasn't been with us for much longer, so he's definitely excited to be back, right?
111%.
Sweet. More excitement than even possible. So, you've been gone for a few weeks. What you been up to, man? I know you said you've been moving or there's been stuff going on. How have you been?
Pretty good. Had a pretty big project due at work. So we pretty much got like a. I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the engineering space, but essentially we have like a user requirement specification document that goes over what we need, and so I had to finish gathering that document and writing it up for a new piece of automation equipment for our company. And so we're looking at around like 5 to 7 million, I think, for the equipment. And
pages?
So kind of
5 to 7 million pages of documentation? Damn.
No. The cost, yeah. No,
I know.
I think the pages came out to be like 90 some pages, but it was pretty brutal.
I hope you had a template to work off of.
So kind of not really. So my company was bought by a pretty big, I guess they're like device pharma type company based off of Germany, right? So we didn't really have a template to work on. It was pretty standard for like the EU standards compared to like just the American standards for all the regulation and stuff. So I had to go through and just get rid of all the stuff that didn't apply to our region. But yeah, it was, the template itself came out to be like 36 some pages, so I added a bunch of other stuff to that document to get it to like 90 something. But yeah, other than that, we moved, so now I'm closer to work, which is good. So it's a solid 30-minute commute both to and from work instead of a 45-minute commute to work and about an hour and 10-minute back. So it's pretty much no traffic at all and a pretty solid drive. So I'm a big fan of the last month, I guess.
Nice. Well, we're glad that you managed to get through that extremely busy time, and we're happy to have you back. Were you able to play much League in the last like month or so, or not really, because life's just been so crazy?
I actually did play, but it was always like late at night whenever
Sure.
I was like home and about to get ready for bed. But yeah, I had a pretty weird solo queue. So I think at the start or towards the end of April, I was like Plat 2 50 LP. And then in the middle of May, I dropped down to Plat 4 0 LP, and my demotion shield had expired. So it was looking a little rough. But now I'm back up to Plat 2, like 20 some LP. So kind of had a roller coaster of solo queue, but I introduced a new champion to my pool. So now I have 3 that I'm playing in solo queue now.
Okay, so who is this
That's
third?
pretty
Because
good.
we were talking about it a while ago. That was a listener question previously. So who's this
Yeah.
mysterious third champion?
I've been playing a lot of Ari in solo queue now. So my 3 champions
boring.
are Ari, Diana, and Yon. So
Boring.
it's kind of been my champ pool. But yeah, it's been pretty good. I would say learning Ari. I wanted to pick up Asol, and it just didn't really work with. I feel like solo queue is too fast for Asol right now. So he's good in like a slower scaling type of games, but a lot of the games that I've been playing, at least in like high platinum, have been like super quick, and games end like usually around 20 minutes anyway. So it's really hard to to scale up. And even all the ASOs that I play against, they just get dumpstered in lane because they just can't keep up with the pace of I think the game right now. I think the game is so quick right now in general. Everyone is getting items pretty quickly, and everyone's just fighting. And it seems like there's a lot more damage in the game now too. I don't know if it's this recent item change or how they rework some of the mythics, but it definitely feels like there's a lot more damage going on, which makes the game feel even faster.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, we can get into some of why we think the damage has changed, but cool. Glad you got off the roller coaster of solo queue. We've all had those experiences, so yeah. John, how you been, man? How was your Memorial Weekend?
It was really good. I almost forgot to play my Decay games. I played them like right before I left for Memorial Day. I played with a buddy of mine, and we did jungle mid. I actually played mid. I've been playing a good bit of mid recently, just with my friends and otherwise. But
Nice.
yeah, been trying to get a bit of Yumus on everybody I can. I love that item. It's super fun. But yeah, overall pretty good. Medium amount, I guess, of league.
Nice.
Medium.
Nice. Matt, everything going well with you, man?
Everything's going great. A little bit more busier because the summer's starting up. Haven't gotten to play a lot this last week due to that. But the airsofting games has gotten better. I've felt a lot better because of that. But yeah, not a lot.
Cool. I had a roller coaster of a Memorial Weekend. My girlfriend and I went out to Denver because we're moving there in like 2 weeks, I guess. Christ. Yeah, so we're moving there, and then we already had this trip scheduled back in like October, so it just happened to line up right before we're going out. We got out there. We didn't love the neighborhood where we signed for our apartment, so then instead of being like a let's explore the city and have a vacation and learn the area, it turned into okay, the next couple of days, like Friday and Saturday, because we got out Thursday night, like Friday and Saturday were hardcore apartment hunting and tours and stuff. It was a lot. Yeah. And then also on top of that, the Airbnb that we had booked was absolutely nasty as well. Like there were moths inside, and I felt if I sat on that bed, I'd get bed bugs, and the doors didn't shut all the way to lock, and like no, it was just nasty. So we got a refund for that. So I was like, I'm not fucking staying here. No way. I don't feel safe. So yeah, we got a hotel on the other side of the city, and then yeah, but it was a long weekend, and then like Sunday we were able to relax more because Saturday afternoon we found a place where we like, and we're still waiting to get approved, but we have there shouldn't be anything that shouldn't get us approved. So yeah, but it's good to be back, although we gave away 2 of our window ACs, so now we have 1 AC for the whole apartment, and most of the apartment is hovering around, I'd say like 84, 85 degrees, and then the rest of it is like the bedroom where we have it in there is about like 65. And we have the door open. It just doesn't proliferate all that well, especially because a lot of our windows get a decent amount of sun through the day. So, yeah, it's toasty. I'm getting a little bit of lower back sweat right now, sitting in my chair. So, yeah, I don't suspect I'll be playing a shitload of video games just because of the temperature issues around in my PC here. So, yeah, and I haven't played that much since the item changes either. I've played some, but mostly I've just been playing like Tank Scion and watching what other people have been doing around me to kind of get in because I have no idea what ADCs should be building at all right now. I have vague ideas, but I have no idea of itemization patterns or things like that. So I'm going to build what I know to still work and watch and see has other people evolve through the items. And I think I have a better grasp on some of my champions now, but yeah, so that's been me. But that's enough banter. Let's get into patch 13.11. So this patch was supposed to be bigger, but they cut it down. Ivern was supposed to get a complete mid-scope rework update like they did for Rel, but that has been canceled, and so we'll go over that. But yeah, overall, it's more of like a polishing out of what happened last patch with some direct champion nerfs and buffs. And the DRX skins dropped, and they're beautiful. as well. So that's very cool. But I'm not going to read through all of Rel because I'd be reading for the next few minutes, and nobody wants that. So basically, she attacks faster. She has higher attack speed, and her movement speed is slightly down. Um, her Q now stuns instead of healing. And if she does it immediately, if she does it after using her E, which is slightly different as well, then it does additional damage. Her W, when she crashes down, is heavily buffed, so she has additional attack range and attack speed. But the actual engage part of it seems weaker to me. And then the mount up when she remounts is significantly weaker than before, I think, because there's you don't get as long of a burst of move speed, and it's not as much of a burst of move speed either. And then she also has some jungle ratios, so her Q and her W both do 250% damage to jungle monsters. So it's not insanely troll now to jungle rel. If you were doing it before, hey, you just got a jungle rel buff. If you, yeah, I've never met a jungle rel, never seen it, but um, yeah, that's mostly what I've seen with it reading through. But do you guys glean anything differently? Matt, what do you think about this change and how it'll impact your bot lane meta?
So the keynote takeaways is the W and the E. The W, yeah, the movement speed is reduced or basically just taken away whenever they mount up, but now that's being moved over to the E. So the E is the thing you should watch out for, because that gives the burst of movement speed and it's doubled when it's charging towards an enemy. So if they're coming towards you, it's doubled now, and it's crazy. It's also given to the ally, whoever's the E is on, and it's also given them bonus damage whenever they hit their first attack. So it's it's a little bit more scarier for all in. I feel like this is pushing more Rel into like an all in type of style than being a counter engage. Even though her kit sort of feels like it's more sort of a counter engage. But I'm excited about it, and I am definitely gonna be picking Draven more often whenever I see Rel.
You're not gonna be picking Samira for that classic combo.
Samir is in a weird stage right now. She's building Duskblade, and I'm not really comfortable with it right now. Um, but I need to play it a little bit more, and I'll eventually go just to it.
Okay, gotcha. John, what do you think about the rel changes? Anything else to note?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the E is seems pretty dangerous. Also, it's nice. It seems like now you can, because the cooldown on the W is so long, you can kind of. They talk about this in the little blurb in the patch notes that you can kind of fish for a stun now, and just combo into her W. So that's always nice. That she's not like a one ability character, pretty much.
Yeah.
But like,
Yep. I'd also like it noted that 3 of the things they removed from her passive, the names of those are great. One of them was Road Off, the other one was Into the, and the last one was Sunset. So Road Off, Into the Sunset, those things, and she's a horse lady. Fantastic naming, yeah. Bomo, any other thoughts on Rel?
I think she's pretty good. I played with her on my solo queue game, and the speed up and kind of the stun I feel like work really well together. So she kind of has two forms of engage now, right? You can speed up your allies to help engage, or you can engage and disengage too. I think I don't think Qmax is gonna be good on her anymore. At least the dude who was in my game was saying that Emax is probably better for Rel right now, with this change, but because the Q you don't really care for the damage, you're just trying to apply all of your resistance shreds.
And stun
So
them,
I
too.
think and stun them, yeah. And so I think there's really no point of maxing that right now. And they thought the E was stronger, and so they were just typing all this stuff into my game. I was just reading it, and so, but yeah, it seemed pretty good in the skirmishes for sure. The smaller fights around Dragon, the Rel felt really good to play against because she wasn't being burst out when she missed her stun either, and she could still kind of like kite back a little bit and steal some of the resistance too when she failed her engage. So it looked pretty decent. We'll see if people pick it up more, but as of right now, I wasn't too upset that we had a Rel on our team.
Yeah, and The stats don't exactly back up our more positive thoughts, but she did just get changed. So like last few patches, she's been hovering around like 52, 51.5% win rate. Now it's 40. She is statistically the worst support right now, but she just got changed. People are learning new builds. Plus, that goes in with the item changes and the ADC. So it's just total chaos right now. She's obviously going to be better than 40%, but she might well need buffs. We'll see how things go. Yeah.
Yeah, the bot lane was Rel Kaisen. That seemed pretty good. Especially like level 1 and level 2, they were able to get a couple double kills here and there throughout the entire laning phase, which looked really good.
I imagine that Rel Jin might be pretty good because you could empower the 4th auto to do even more damage. Matt, have you been theory crafting any of that? Or I saw your eyebrows go like, oh shit.
I didn't really think about it. Jin has been really popular right now. I have been playing him a lot. I've been fighting him a lot though, and yeah, for sure, definitely. I think that would work super well actually with his seconds, and then you pop the E for the 4th shot to get him in range. Oh, it'd be so nice.
Yeah. And
He's so fast with his Ian and his just passive.
Yup.
The fourth shot and just his passive.
And adding on the rails passive bonus movement speed as well, or the E movement speed as well. Oh gosh.
Yep. For sure. And because Rel applies like effects in so many different ways, whether that's damage or like, the pull or the stun, you always have a way when she's in there to use your W. You always have something to proc it off of. Yeah.
Right.
There we go. Me theory crafting already. Okay, so that's it for Rel. So Akali getting a minor buff. Her Q base damage increased. The ratios have not been changed, but it just does 10 more damage at all levels. I don't think this really does all that much. Akali's still scary if you know what you're doing, and if you don't, then she's pretty much garbage. But this 10, maybe this changes how you can execute the backline of minions. I don't really know. Bomo, do you think that this changes Akali much?
I think she was just a little weak against the mage to mage or the mage to melee type of matchup. Well, melee. I think in mid lane there's gonna be more assassins coming up just because of the lethality item change. So you'll see a lot more Pantheon, Talon, and those types of champions. I do think Cassante is still super good mid lane, and he can counter a lot of those 80 assassins, but you'll see a lot of like Yasuo and champs like that. So I think in general, I think it's a revert to a nerf they had before. So I think before you had to two shot the minion wave, I think, in the back.
The casters,
and then they nerfed it. So you had to 2-shot plus auto them. And so I think this brings it back where you can 2-shot the caster minions, I think. Or with 1-shot. It's one or the other, yeah.
Do you mean with just Adoran's shield, or you mean with the specific items? Do you remember that breakpoint?
At full max, at a fully max Q.
Got it.
You could either 1 or 2-shot the caster minions, and then Riot nerfed it, so you had to auto them as well. I forget if it's 1 or 2-shot, but now I think it's back in line with clearing the casters and then roaming again, so you don't have to spend the time autoing each of those caster minions.
Sure. And what you're saying reflects in her win rate. It went up by 2 percentage points overall so far. So 47.8 to 49.7. It's gone up.
Which for Akali, I feel like is pretty good, right?
That's really good. She's hard to play. Yeah.
Hovering like a 50-50 matchup. I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah. And maybe the champions also that she doesn't do well into are not played much right now. I mean, it's like her worst matchups so far this patch are Ryze, who's barely ever played, TF has barely ever played, Galio, Ari has played a lot, but like how often do you see Annie, or I guess Vigor's pretty popular, but a lot of these are not champions that are played all that often. So
yeah, I'm surprised too, especially with last patch's Lost Chapter buff. I feel like a lot more mages would come out, but I haven't seen that many, which is really strange. I feel like going like a futures market into an early Lost Chapter is just so broken in mid lane. I've been playing it with Ari, and so I clear like three waves, the Canaan wave, and I have futures market, and I just TP back with a Lost Chapter, and the enemy's like locked into lane where I can just full clear the wave. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. Yep, you're using the LS tech. I love it.
Exactly. especially if you start with a sapphire crystal.
Yeah.
You only need like 600 gold.
Yep, sapphire refill, and you're totally
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. Matt or John, any thoughts on Akali?
Not really. I mean, you pretty much covered everything. I think the big thing was just the being able to two-shot the back line.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah, I don't think this is a big buff. I mean, it is her primary spell. She throws out all the time, so a little bit more damage should be nice.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so the next one we have is a Mumu W damage decrease. So the base damage per tick, which is every half second, was 10. Now it's 7. No ratios were touched. No cooldown. Nothing like that. Mana cost. Nothing. That's it. He's been strong, so he's probably still going to be strong-ish. I don't think this really changes him all that much, but yeah. John, what do you think? Have you been facing much of Mumu?
Before I think this patch, yeah, a good bit, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think he was strong. His clear was too good. His like with Conqueror, his skirmishing was too good. That's just gross that it picked up Conqueror like that, but yeah, I think he definitely needed a nerf. So
In the last 2 patches, he was either the first or second best jungler statistically as well. Wow.
it doesn't surprise me.
Now he's dropped below 50, but hovering around 50. So that's probably good if we're looking at Plat Plus, if he's 49.6, because he should demolish low elo, and the higher up you go, get worse and worse. Okay. Any other thoughts? Anyone else on Amumu here? It's a small change, so. Cool.
No, that's about it.
Okay. Matt, do you want to take over Aphelios then?
Yeah. So Aphelios got a double hit with the items as well, but the first nerf that he's gotten is or the only nerf that he's gotten with his abilities is his passive. The bonus attack damage. This is the leveling up whenever you level up your ability, so that attack damage is going from 5 all the way to 30. Is now starting at 4.5, going all the way up to 27. So 3 damage less at the very last end. I think if I'm right, you take the lethality first now instead of taking the attack damage. You take the attack damage second. I think if I'm right.
That would make sense because
This
build
is-
path changes, you're probably going to power into a BF sword item as Aphelios, so you don't need as much AD early. You want the
I'm
pen?
wrong. You still take the Q first, the
Oh.
ability, the damage first. But yeah, you take the lethality second. That's what it was. But yes, still it's an impactful damage nerf. I don't know what they're gonna do with Aphelios. He feels weird. He is crazy strong. To be fair, he has been crazy strong. I feel like he's gonna be in an okay tier now. They're just nerfing him because they don't want him to be in pro play. And as soon as you get him decently anywhere decent inside normals or solo queue, then he becomes absolutely broken in pro play. So they're just keeping that little like basic level down here at the bottom.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, I agree too. I think it's mostly pro play.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Asol. Bomo, you want to take it for us?
Sure. So with Assault, they increases mana costs early on. So before it was 60 scaling to 100 based on level, and now it is 80 up to 100 per level. So his late game doesn't change too much, but his early game he's gonna have to be more careful at using mana. I think this is a good change because he could just put it down and easily wave clear pretty early on, and this is his second max too. So I guess level 9 to 14 is when you'll start seeing a slight change to the, or I guess a slight buff to your original clear, but you can start being more spammy with your E after level 9 when you start leveling this up. And then the damage tick has also been adjusted. So the main one being the increase in AP ratio or decrease in AP ratio. So it was at 6.25% AP, now it's 5% AP. I think this is justified as well. I think having Aesol being a scaling champion that likes to farm and collect souls made his E just too strong, especially with the size increase. And so I think lowering down the actual damage output of it is good based on the AP items that you have. So yeah, I think overall it's pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree.
I agree with everything you said. His E was just too good early for like wave clear.
What I'd like to see them do is actually change this ability so that it's like an Anivia R. So it could stay down indefinitely if you have the mana regen for it, but it increases, or maybe, I don't know, something else that increases over time the longer that you're using it. But basically, yeah, it's going to drain your mana. You could keep it down, but it is going to, like, if you keep it down more than a couple seconds, or maybe like 3 seconds at most, you're using a shitload of mana. I think that would be a good way to
For
balance it.
his E,
Yeah, for his E. Because I know that his
because
Q. Sorry, go ahead.
you mean like a toggle ability?
So kind of like a
changing into
toggle.
a
Like I
toggle?
imagine, like basically you change it so that it functions like a Nivea R. So you have to, it has like a normal cooldown or whatever, and then when you throw it down, it has an initial upfront cost. Maybe it's a lot lower than this. Then maybe it's like 20 mana. But then every second you use it, it costs a percent of your max mana. So then you have to strategically use it rather than throw it down when a wave comes in and then just queue the whole wave or walk away. Or then it also really stops the ability, because if you don't have Baron, or even if sometimes if you do have Baron, you can't push into Aesol. You actually can't, because the minions can't get past him. So if you make it so that his this is his E, then if you make it so his E actually can't stop the minions then for that long, then you really functionally change his insane ability to anti-siege.
So would you like click it again to disable it, or how would?
Yeah, so you'd either
Okay.
walk out of range like a Nivea R, or you can press the
Mhm.
button again to disable it, and then it goes on cooldown for, I don't know, 4 seconds or something like that. You can't use it again.
Mhm. That would be pretty interesting too.
I think it'd
I
be
feel like
more
that'd be
healthy.
broken for lane though. So right, the Aesils go either first strike or comet, and comet's pretty good for the lane sustain. So you could just place it down quickly, proc your comet, take it off, right? And then with the execute on the minions, I think it would be a little broken unless you adjusted like the initial mana cost. But if you're starting off pretty low mana, then you can just toggle it on and off, unless there's a certain lockout
That's what I would think a
associated
way to
with
do
it.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
is if you were to say, like, it can be canceled after 1.5 seconds of usage, or
Hmm.
2 seconds or so. Even if you walk out of range, like if you get Poppy Yard and you just placed it down, then it still
Hmm.
stays there for 2 seconds and then it'll go
Okay,
away.
got it.
That would
That'd
be
be
a good way
interesting.
to
Yeah.
balance it, yeah. I didn't have this planned, by the way. This just came up in my head as we were talking about it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I also think maybe the size, have it be like the size grows, so
Hmm.
it grows already based on your stacks, but if there's a time to grow, kind of like a Nivea ultimate, I think that would be pretty fair too. Because right now you can, like, you get 30 minutes into the game, and if Acel's just been farming, you can literally put an E down and it blocks an entire choke point, and your team can't walk through it, right? On top of the ultimate with the Sky's Descend attached to it, I feel like it's so hard to play into an Acel that's already even or slightly ahead because of how much he's farming. And so I would like to see like a ramp up style with like his Q and E to kind of make it a little bit more advantageous to kind of, if they're late to placing their Q and E, then it won't do as much harm to your team maybe, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think you could do something like you know it can increase, so the Stardust increases the size, the max size, obviously, but then it would it would already start smaller, like you're saying, like an Anivia ult, and then grow a little bit, and the more Stardust you have, the quicker it would expand to its max as well. So then, yeah, when you get to 45 minutes, he's scary as shit, but it's not as bad at that 20-minute zone, even if he's just been permanently farming, like you're saying.
Yeah, I think playing around more around his star stacking is probably the best way to go about it. Um, I know, I know. I was just saying, right? He's very slow in solo queue right now, at least in where I'm playing. But it seems like if he's able to get it slightly ahead, then he's able to control a lot of the game and fights. And so if you have a pretty good skirmish early on, you get a couple kills, and you're able to build your items quickly, then he does feel pretty oppressive.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we spent enough time on Asol, so yep. Let's go to Azir now. So Azir's cooldown has been decreased by 2 seconds early, and at level 5 it's still the same. So it was 14, now it's 12. 14 to 6, now it's 12 to 6. And then his W Arise, where he summons a soldier, the summon range has gone up by 25 units. That's barely anything. And then the magic damage when they hit, when a soldier actually hits someone, the base damage is totally unchanged, but the AP ratio went up from 55% to 60%. This seems like okay, maybe the Q is something. The W seems like it's nothing. But Bomo, you've played Azir a lot in the past. Like, what do you think about this?
I think it's fine. So with the new Azir change that happened, you're maxing your W, right? And with the range on W, it doesn't move to place the soldier. It'll just place it on the furthest radius from your character. You know what I'm talking about? Like some champions,
Yes.
if you're out of cast range, it'll walk to try to cast it. So Azir Soldier doesn't do that. You can just place it on your furthest outer circle. And I think it's 25 range. It's like hard to picture. I feel like it should be something because you can get an extra 25 range. I wonder if that's an extra auto attack you could possibly get off if you place it on top of someone. But I think maybe it's good for escapes too. So if you're good at the Shurima Shuffle, then the extra 25 range might make a slight difference of clipping an enemy champion or making sure you get out. But I think it's pretty good for like doing the drifting of the slide of his escape tool, and I think it might be pretty beneficial because you could place it outside that won't be in the way of an enemy, so you can just E out and Q and things like that.
Sure. So far, that all makes sense to me. I didn't think about the escape potential of it. His stats his pick rate's increased by 2 percentage points, and his win rate has gone up by 3 percentage points so far. So maybe this is a bit bigger than we're thinking, but also he functions decently well into assassins anyways. So it could be a meta thing. It's probably a combination of the two. Yeah.
Yeah,
John,
it
when you've
does
been
more
playing,
damage too. So
yeah, that's true. John, when you've been playing mid, have you seen Azir much at all?
I feel like I've just not seen him like at all. I don't even think I played against him one time.
Yeah, I haven't in
I feel
a
like I
long
never
time.
see this character like ever.
I see Rise more than I see Azir.
Same.
Matt, have you seen Azir at all?
I've seen him 2 times, and whenever I was playing with my low friends, we were playing on. I copped on my silver account, and we were playing the bronze level. We saw an Azir bot lane with a Yumi. It was just nonstop. I couldn't stop because my support kept on feeding, but it was fun to fight that at the late game. Trying to fight a Yumi Azir, it's hard because the Yumi slows, and then the Azir can come up just throughout the W. It's really oppressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fine. I didn't really have a problem laning against him whenever I was fighting him bot lane. I didn't really feel the change in the range. But low yellow, I can't really tell anyways because they're not abusing the range.
True. Cool. Okay, so let's move on to Ivern. So like I said, he's not getting a full rework. Apparently there was enough of they shared their plans for it, and the community collectively, or Ivern mains, had enough negative feedback towards it that they canceled it. So instead they gave him some buffs. So Ivern can, now on his Q, he can recast it immediately to jump to the target, while Ivern and allies can issue an attack command to move their auto attack range's distance away from the target. So a slight change to how that functions. The cast range has been increased by 50, and the cooldown is now reduced by 50% when used on non-epic monsters, so you can use it to traverse around terrain a bit more, is what they're going for there. His W, the brush maker, when he creates a brush, the passive bonus magic damage on hit when he exits the brush for 3 seconds now applies to ally champions. So when champions go through his brushes, they get the bonus magic damage on hit, is how I'm reading that. The ally on hit damage is 5 to 15 plus 10% of Ivern's AP, not their own AP. The brush spawn vision duration was 3, now it's 8 seconds, because the brushes give you vision around where you spawn them. And the brush duration was 30 seconds, now it's up to a max of 45, or until your team loses vision inside of them. Interesting. And then auto attacks empowered with the W empower now have a special visual effect to reflect the on hit damage. It's just a visual, it doesn't actually change how it functions. And then his E, when the shield detonates, if there are no enemies that are hit by the detonation and the shield has not been broken, the duration of the shield is renewed. So you get to hang on to the shield then if it actually doesn't hit anything. And then Daisy got some buffs too. Her attack range went up by 50. Her movement speed went up by 20. Her attack speed went up by 0.05. She now has health regen as well. She didn't have any before. Now she has 2.5 per second. Her bonus attack speed, which scales with your level, was 30 to 70. Now it's 30 to 60. So she does attack slightly slower with ability level, but that's to make up for her base attack speed increasing. And then her slam damage was 100% of Daisy's AD plus 20% AP. Now it's 40 to 80 plus 100% of Daisy's AD plus 20% AP. So it actually does a lot more damage now. Well, I guess not a lot. It's 40 to 80 more functionally, depending on your ability rank. So it is slightly more. She's going to move faster. She has bigger attack range, and she's basically more durable and more annoying to stick on you, because she always felt like a much more clunky and shittier version of Tibbers to me. So basically some love for Ivern because the Ivern mains were up in arms. John, what do you think? Thoughts on these Ivern changes?
I mean, he needed something. He was just terrible. I feel like I'd literally never see him ever, like in solo queue especially.
Ever.
Like actually ever. Maybe even less than a Zir, which is like crazy. But I mean, I think this is overall I like this. Like I like that they changed it. Like the visual on the on hit's nice. I think the E is a nice change. What's it with like them making pets so fast? Like I feel like every pet now is so fucking fast. I don't know.
Like which other ones do you mean?
Tibbers is fast as shit, in my opinion. Like you can't get away from the guy unless you have a slow.
Sure, Tibbers. You mean when Annie dies? Because Tibbers gets a shitload of
Yeah.
move speed then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He seems fast without that, but especially obviously that. Like you actually can't get away with him.
The ghouls are fast. Yorick's
Killer.
ghouls are pretty fast, I'll say.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I guess. I mean, 50 range on Daisy is super nice, especially like. I feel like the attack speed. Pretty. I don't know. I don't think that it makes too much of a difference, especially with 50 more range. But I think the regen's gonna be a little annoying.
Yep.
Do you know how much 440 movement speed is?
A lot. It's an absurd amount.
I think it's more than tier 2 boots.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it's literally just yeah.
So
I wonder what.
Moby's gives 115 extra movement speed, and the average movement speed in game for a champion is 335.
Okay, I was gonna guess like 320.
So 450 is your Moby speed.
That's
Moby boot speed on an average champion.
Oh my god,
it's so fast.
I didn't realize that.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I mean, I just looked at 400. It was like, what?
Why is he so fast?
Yeah, it's like this motherfucker is like a race car.
Yeah. So I was thinking that I've kind of had this idea that I think enchanter mids are gonna be super strong, and I think Ivern can be a mid lane champion, especially with a lot of these weird buffs. I think the biggest one is his allies exiting a bush for 3 seconds also apply your on hit damage. I feel like that's just so insane. Like you put a bush in front of your allies. They walk all through it and they have extra on hit damage, right, as they're fighting. And then when you kite back, you place a bush. And so I kind of want to play more enchanter mids in flex and normals and just see how it feels. But I think having like a carry, jungler, and bot lane is really all you need. And you have 2 enchanters in the support and mid lane and a tank top. And there's no way, like, you just do so much damage while also preventing your team from dying.
Lulu, Kog'Maw, Ivern is what I'm hearing you basically say here.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Rakan, I think, is really good too. So, like a Rakan Ivern together, like, do you know how much disruption and knockup you have? And you can have like a Belveth jungle type of situation or Kindred jungle with whatever 80 carry you want to play.
Pick a
It just seems so
Cassante in top
disgusting.
lane or a
Yeah.
Scion or something.
Yeah.
And then like
Jesus.
the knockup damage, like it's by level, right? So if you're a mid laner,
Mhm.
you're getting more levels quicker, so you'll have the extra damage applied. But yeah, I think just the Daisy movement speed is just so insane. Like, what are they even thinking? Like 440 is so fast.
Yeah, it is. And their range. Like, how do you get away from that? Just
Yeah,
like-
right. Because the Daisy you can target, right, and it'll just keep following them, and it has that little line that follows you. And once you're knocked up, you're pretty much dead because of how fast it moves. And I don't think you can even get away from Daisy if it even hits you one time.
I think a better way to do it. Not that I like your idea of double enchanter. So you have on hit and enchanter support. Pick whatever you want, and then you have I think Ivern jungle, and then like you were saying, Cassante is extremely good in mid, and even better with the way the meta is shaping up in mid lane right now. So you put Cassante in mid, and then have like an Olaf top.
That works too. Yeah.
Then I think you're maxing out where you can put the champions in different matchups as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious too. Like, I was thinking mid lane because you could go full AP, right? You don't have to go like the support build that is like budget friendly. You could actually like go full damage and apply a lot of damage with like your bushes and your E. And I think the big thing is the shield never expires if it doesn't detonate, which is kind of ridiculous, right? You can just apply your shield, and if it doesn't detonate on anybody, it doesn't do any damage. It stays on the enemy. Right?
So
it's renewed. Is that
I'm thinking it's renewed, like when Diana hits things and then her shield duration is renewed if she detonates all the orbs, and then it still falls off after a duration. I'm thinking it's that. So if the trigger seed
Okay.
stays on for 4 seconds and it doesn't hit anyone, then you get another 4 seconds of that shield. Is how I'm reading that.
I feel like that'd be pretty good, right? Like you can like prep your team or like at least one teammate with a shield. I don't know what the cooldown of E is, but as it's expiring, you go in, you put another shield on type of thing. I feel like that's the setup for your team fights. I feel like would be really good. You can preemptively set up your shield.
So his trigger seed cooldown is 11 to 7 on base, and it's after 2 seconds, then the shield detonates. Then you could have an additional 2 seconds of it. But if you build full supporty, I guess not anymore. I was going to say you get a shitload of ability haste, but not anymore, as we talked about last episode with a lot of the support items getting gutted of their ability haste. So not anymore, actually.
So full AP it is then.
I guess so, yeah.
Would
We'll
Echo's
try it out and
Ahelia,
we can report back. But I think it's gonna be broken.
would Echo Ahelia get applied twice because of the refresh?
That's what I would think, unless it's
renew?
only on unique, unless it's once per like unique ability.
Once, yeah,
I don't know. Let me look. I'll read it.
maybe.
Echoes of
Because it's just
Helia.
healing or shielding. It's either one. Whenever you have your soul shards. So if you have it already stacked up with your soul shards, you just apply the E and then it applies it again right after.
Yeah, so damaging an
theory.
enemy. It doesn't say anything about a unique instance on the passive. So probably it gives you 2 charges of it then. And that was what he was going last patch as well, Ivern was. But his win rate has shot up to 52.3, and he has a pick rate of like 2.7. So he's around a bit more, and he's doing a lot better in jungle. He also is statistically the best support or best top lane and the best mid lane, and a totally average support. So he's doing really well everywhere, which is to be expected, but he's just barely picked in most of these roles. Yeah. So, okay. That's Ivern then. I was going to ask someone to take over Jinx, but I can finish this
I
in
could
like
take
one
over
sentence.
Jinx.
Okay, go for it then.
So Jinx has been on the high tier, S tier, picker ban type of style, and now she's finally getting her nerf that she finally deserves. Her base stat, the attack speed growth basically has gone from 1.3 to 1. So less
Whoa.
attack speed. Plus, we got a double nerf as well with her item set. So she's in an awkward phase right now where people are trying to figure out what are we building with her, because she used to take Stormrazor and Hurricane, and both of those got touched up as well. So it's a triple nerf for her, and she is now down in the bottom tiers of ADCs. You would rather pick something else other than a Jinx,
Okay, I thought
like a
that
Kog'Maw.
I didn't know you were going in a more serious direction there. I thought this was like a placebo nerf and it wasn't really doing much. But no.
No, this is actually this is doing a lot right now.
So I will say her
They
win
actually touched
rate
up on it.
doesn't say that. But that being said, that doesn't mean anything necessarily. Her win rate went
I
down
know.
by half a percentage point. Her
Okay,
pick
maybe I'm
rate
hyping
her
it up
pick
too much.
rate did drop out though. It went down by 8% though, her pick rate did. So that's a lot.
If
So,
I was to say anything, I'd probably pick a Kog'Maw over a Jinx right now. If I was to pick something like a Jinx.
yeah. Or Misfortune or something else if you want to hit
Yeah.
hard with individual autos. Yeah. Okay. John, any other thoughts on Jinx?
No, I think it's fine. I mean, she's been really good for a long time, in my opinion.
She has. So we'll talk about someone now who hasn't been very good for, or hasn't been good for a while. So John, do you want to take Callista for us?
Sure. So yeah, she's getting a bunch of changes. So her base health is going up 26 to 600. Her health regen is being buffed to 4 from 3.75. Health regen growth 0.55 to 0.75. Her AD is getting lowered to 61 from 66. And then AD growth is going down from 3.75 to 3.25. But I feel like the big thing here is that they're changing. I think last patch they changed how her passive vision, like the interaction with her passive and vision works. So like you would miss autos if a target was out of vision, and they changed that so that her basic attacks no longer miss if they leave vision. That was super annoying for bushes, I know. And then her passive on hit is going from 90% of her total AD to 100%. And then it looks like the Q is just getting a 5% buff on the scaling on the AD. And that's it. And then her E is getting a lower cooldown. Looks like it was 14 to 8 before, now it's 10 to 8. So that's pretty nice. And then the physical damage per stack on her E with the spears, it's getting a little bit of buff on the AD scaling. Looks like roughly 2. And then the just regular base part of the damage is going down by 2 at level 1, and then it was 10 to 34 before, now it's 8 to 24, so a little bit of a I feel like mix changes for her because I don't know, she's been pretty meh for a while, and like she's a really hard character to play, so I feel like the passive thing is really nice because that was super annoying.
Did they just change that last patch so that she would lose those?
I think it was either last or the one before that. It was pretty recent.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
She's
like
better than last patch. Statistically, she went up 2%, but she's still at 47.2.
Yeah, I feel like she's not played very often either. I don't know, I feel like she's a one-trick champ, probably.
Yeah, and
pro play character.
also she's
Yeah.
much better the higher up you go because of the way her kit works. She's much more early game
Yeah.
focused, so the higher up you go, the more effective she's going to be. And if she's sitting above 48, then she's probably in line for a nerf just because of how well she does at the upper echelons, just like Aphelios that we were talking about earlier.
The Shy's gonna come back and play Callista top. I think Callista solo lane's gonna be really good with these 2 buffs because you don't even level up your W, right? You just play with Q and E for the longest time in solo lane. So I think it'd be pretty good. I think the Bush is really good, as you were saying, and then not capping her AD is also really good too. So your autos actually do what your auto attack damage is supposed to do instead of being 90% because of her jumping thing that she does. But I think she'd be pretty good. Hail of Blades Callista sounds pretty nasty right now with like maybe a Rage Blade type build, but yeah, I wonder if I play similar to like a Tristana mid. I think 80 carry mids are gonna be a thing too. So it's really weird. I'm like saying enchanters and 80 carry mids are gonna be the new mid laners. So we'll see if it comes to fruition. But I do think those 2 classes are really good right now.
It makes sense because Mage's itemization, even though they improved a couple of things, are still total dog shit. Like, Mage items are still terrible to build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious if like you can switch up like the meta and just have like mage bot laners now and just have 80 carry mid laners so you can get more farm, right? So I think the reason why mages struggle is mid lane has reduced gold for the first 14 minutes per each of the cannon minions, I think, and the regular minions.
I thought it was all minions. The gold and the XP was
Yeah.
like slightly down by like 1 or 2% or something.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'm curious, like maybe that's why the mages are having a tough time because even though the waves are theoretically now getting there at the same time now, right? So you're not have a advantage anymore with the minion movement speeds, but it seems like in general mages, even with the lost chapter buff, don't feel great at all. Unless you're cheesing it with like the early lost chapter to kind of just shove and keep them in lane so they can't back. But yeah, it's really weird. A lot of my champions that I played did really well into mages, but I haven't really seen a lot of mages. So I play Yon and Diana, and it's pretty much not been non-existent playing against mages. It's pretty weird.
A big thing also with mages is that their component items are much weaker relative to every other role, basically. Like, they don't have a lot of unique passives or effects or things like that. It's like 5 ability haste or, 10 ability haste or a little bit of extra AP or something like that, and that's about it. Whereas,
Yeah.
every other class, a lot of their components have, ability haste on them, or it has like actual unique effects, or they have other things going on, or they're just flat cheaper, and your gold combination costs are a lot different. Like, mages have some of the most expensive components and combination item costs of they have to sit on the most gold much more often than many other roles, which I think is a huge issue for them too. Like, mage itemization just needs to be reworked top to bottom. I think it's just garbage. It's not good. A lot of other roles are fine. Like, you don't need to rework all the items, but mage items need to have more items, and they need to be completely reworked in their components and everything like that. But touch that in preseason. Don't do this in the middle of a season,
Yeah.
please.
I think it's a pretty bad that you attach a lot of mana to mythic items, right? And you're only allowed 1 mythic item. I think that's also the hindrance to a mage too. Like, sure, you can buy a tier and then you have your mana item, but that's really it for mana. You can't just like have more mana.
And what are you gonna do? Buy a forbidden idol? Then you're gonna like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel good at all.
Yeah, it's really weird. You're like going for these high stat stick items that, as you were saying, there's no associated passive with it that's beneficial to the user. Catalyst is pretty good in terms of like the health and mana that you sort of get back, but
Hextech Alternator
honestly,
is also not
yeah.
terrible, but
I
and
like
then
Alternator a lot too. Yeah.
yeah, and Lost Chapter, like you said, but after that, it's what Oblivion Orb that does something. That's about it. The only one, because Seeker's Arm Guard and whatever the MR one is, they stack so little that they're basically
Yeah.
useless to actually have, other than their base stats. So I don't know how we got to there from Callista, but
But here we are.
there we are. So, okay. Rek'Sai is getting some buffs as well. So, well, some changes overall. Rek'Sai's passive, I couldn't even tell you what these abilities are called. Okay. Fury of the Zurzai. So her tremor sense refresh rate was 1.5 seconds to 1 second, so she's been able to track people more consistently, and minions and stuff like that. That's the little circles when she's underground that she can sense where they're going. Heal with maximum fury was 20 to 90 based on level. Now it's 15 plus 20 for every 3 levels, plus 2%, plus 2% max HP for every 3 levels. So they made it a lot more complicated. I don't know where the breakpoints are on math, but you can do that math on your own, or check out if Freak still does his patch rundowns, then he would go over that. But you can do the math on that.
I think the base heal is better, right? So at least
Now it's 17.
17.
Well, wait,
it's 15
how
plus 20, right?
Well, 15
Or-
plus 20 for every 3 levels, so you're not level 3. If you're level 1, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Because that's what you're comparing 20 to level 1. So how much fury can she have? Is it 100?
Yeah.
Okay, so then she heals 17 at level 1 if she has max fury. Because then it's
With
2%
the
of
max HP?
well, she doesn't get any max HP for level 1 because it's 2% max HP for every 3 levels. So like level 1, you have there's 15 flat, and then there's another 20 for every 3 levels. So once you reach level 4, you get another 20, or maybe level 3 how it's coded. But level 1 you don't have that. Then there's plus 2%.
But you don't take the tunnel, right? You don't take the tunnel level 1. So
Let's
the
say
heals off the tunnel, right?
No, you
I
take
think?
Q and then W.
Or the underground. The underground. The burrow is where you heal, right?
yes, but let's just say for example you decided to. Just for like sake of so we can compare the numbers then you get 2% of your fury, which is 2 because you get 100 fury, so you're getting 17 so far, and then 2% of your max HP for every 3 levels. But as we said before, you don't have any extra levels to reach you at that point, so then that's actually null. So level 1 it's worse. I imagine it's better as you reach like level 4 or level 5 onwards. I imagine it's a lot better then, and this opens her up to actually healing a lot more if you go bruiser Rek'Sai builds rather than full lethality as well. So I think that this is a buff, that thing there, but I don't know the math.
I think it's a buff too, except for level 1.
Yeah.
But right, so if you're not even looking at the max HP and you're just going up level, at level 18, you heal 195 base without any max HP influence. So I think it's a buff too.
190. Yeah, 190. Yeah, that's
195.
yeah, that's definitely it. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so then her other changes as well. So her Q, when she's burrowed, the reveal duration was 2.5 seconds. Now it's 5. So that's that laser thingy that she shoots out. And then when she's unburrowed, that's her like 3 swipes in an AOE. The cooldown was 4 seconds at all levels. Now it's 4 to 2 based on rank. The buff duration that she gets, which I think it is like it empowers her autos, it was 5 seconds. Now it's 3. So the cooldown is lower, but you have to use them sooner in order to actually capitalize on the ability. And now basic attacks refresh the buff duration of Queen's Wrath. So instead of having to use all 3 autos in 5 seconds, this means that you have to do one of them in 3 seconds, and then another one within 3 seconds in order to get it. So you can actually extend it to 9 seconds, as opposed to getting it all in 5. But they did remove the Q's buff no longer ends prematurely if Rek'Sai is burrowed for more than 1.5 seconds. So they're making it so that if you burrow for a little bit during that time, you don't actually lose the Q active. Not that it really matters because the cooldown of it is so low now, but that is a thing. And then also her W unburrow got a quality of life update. Targeted range increased to match untargeted range. So note, this will mean that the optimization where it was better to line up Rek'Sai to the edge of your knockup and press W at the perfect time instead of just clicking on the opponent has been removed. I don't quite know what this means here.
Yeah, I'm a little confused.
I think there was a feature, or I guess a design of the character, right, where it's better to press W instead of auto right clicking them to knock them up. So before it was, I don't quite understand either, but I think that had to do with the knock up duration, right? So it's quicker to press W than to just auto them, because if you auto them while unburrowed, you'll unburrow and knock them up, right? But I think it's faster if you just press W, and I think they're getting rid of that interaction.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that makes sense.
So these all seem like a small buff for Rek'Sai, not massive, but small buff and slightly changes how she interacts.
I think the tremor refresh rate is going to be really good every second. So you're getting an extra tremor in every 3 seconds. And I think the tracking the enemy is going to be a lot easier and maybe even harder to juke a Rek'Sai now, because 1 second is pretty significant in terms of half a second. Like half a second makes or breaks a lot of fights.
Well,
I
they
feel like it makes it a little easier too to pick up.
Yep. Rek'Sai is statistically the best jungler now because of this. She went up 4%, and she is sitting at a 54% win rate with almost a 4% pick rate. So I'm going to be banning
Whoa.
this patch until she gets
What?
nerfed. Yeah, 53.92 and a 4% pick rate and a 2% ban rate. Last patch, she was sitting at 49.9 with a 0.8% pick rate. So people didn't know. Also, the new items, people didn't exactly know what to be building on her. But it looks like the best build is Stride Breaker. It's actually kind of
Like the-
bruisery. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Gross.
I think the Q is also going to be broken too. Like, it's your first max anyway, so 2-second cooldown
I think
for
when
a
you're
3-second
You can have
buff
it up
duration.
permanently.
but your unburrowed and your burrowed Qs have different cooldowns, from what I understand. It's not.
Yeah, but just when you're unburrowed, right? That's the empowered autos that swipe around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for three.
That's
of
like
them.
permanently up now when you're level 9.
And you're
And so
clear. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be insane.
Wow. So I see why Rek'Sai jumped up that more. These are actually major. Now that we've talked about it more,
And
Jesus.
Plus, the main items you're building are all ability haste, the Stride Breaker, Black Cleaver, Death Dance
Yeah.
type styles, all ability haste.
yeah. I don't know, man. It seems without any mana constraints either, you just spam this ability and you
It's just
gather fury and just heal so much more now. I feel like this is insane.
Well, even if
And
you
you go
had
for
mana
it.
constraints, you're a jungler, so it doesn't even matter. Junglers don't
Yeah,
have to
you
deal
just
with mana.
Get
Right.
all the mana regen, yeah.
Oh my god.
Gathering up that fury
Yeah, I
so
might have
nice
to
now.
try this again.
Yeah, I'm not happy. I don't like facing Rek'Sai. So, okay, let's move on then, because we're a little bit behind on time for what we'd want to be doing. So, Renekton, he got a little bit of love here as well. His E cooldown went down by 2 seconds at all ranks, and the R cooldown was 120 at all ranks. Now it is 120, 180, and that's nice actually. And then the magic damage per tick, which is every 5 seconds, was 25 to 50, 75. Now it is 30, 60, 90. So he's just getting small buffs. The magic damage per tick adds up in a fight, but he's more bursty. But the cooldown on his E is helpful in lane, especially because this is usually your second max. So this will actually take effect more into mid game, and you have a bit more mobility. Or if you use it, then you're no longer absolutely fucked. Because a lot of his items that he builds have ability haste in them. So you'll be getting a few more dashes off, or maybe like one more dash off in a team fight, as opposed to only getting it once. You might get 2. I don't know. This seems like it's fine, but they have to be careful with Renekton because he's always very problematic in pro play.
Yeah,
Agreed.
you got it.
Cool. All right. TF. So the W cooldown decreased. It was 8 to 6. Now it's just 6 at all ranks. This is a nice buff for TF. It's not massive, but it's a nice buff that'll push him in a nicer way. Bomo, what do you think about this one?
I think it's pretty good. You automatically get the 6-second cooldown before you didn't get into level 13. I'm curious. I've been wanting to play like a Ginsu's Rageblade TF mid, where he's just focusing on like auto attacking, I think it'd be pretty good. Especially if you can stun them and just auto them down while kiting. I think it'd be really strong. So I'd be curious if this allows him to be more of like a hybrid type of mid laner who can help roam but also apply a lot of split push pressure because his cards and his passive on his E do a lot of damage to turrets too.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if there's some like Lich Bane Ginsu's build that you can go where you're just permanently just kiting and stunning people and like a duelist. So I'll try it out too. There's a lot of things I want to try and then I'll report back hopefully.
I would think that TF would love Static Shiv into Rageblade.
Yeah, I mean you could clear the wave so easily on top of your red card, right? And so
And a Q, you instantly clear that wave.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he might be pretty good too.
His
There's
win
like 4
rate,
champions that I want to try now, so we'll see.
his win rate went up by 2%. So that's good. TF is also someone they have to be careful with because he's a pro play and high elo menace as well compared to solo queue. So he's probably in a very strong state and will be pick ban in pro play if he's at a 50% win rate in solo queue right now. But we'll have to wait a few more weeks since the LCS is on pause right now. So I just had to throw that in there. Anyways, now we just have some items as well. So these are small nerfs or buffs to items. So Ardent Sensor, the bonus attack speed was 15 to 30% based on the target's level. Now it is 20%. I'll just read through all of these and then we can talk about which ones we think. Actually, there's a lot of them. Never mind. We can go one by one here. So Ardent Sensor, any significant thoughts? This seems like a nerf overall, but it's more consistent.
Yeah, I don't really.
Yeah.
Enchanters build it. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I felt like it's pretty good too.
I want to trying to push it into like a rush first item because it's based on target's level, right? So you get the 20 pretty quickly and to help bridge like some gap for support items, but I don't think I've really seen Ardent Sensor being built, so it's hard to really say.
Yeah,
if it's gonna be good or not.
And they're saying that Ardent Sensor is currently the highest win rate second item purchase for enchanters, and they want it to be more in line with Staff of Flowing Water. So really is what I think what we're hearing is that they need to buff Staff of Flowing Water because Ardent didn't feel insane. But they didn't go that direction, so oh well. Speaking about another item that needed to get some changes is Duskblade. So the bonus ability damage based on target's max health was 15% at max when they're at like 99% or when they're at 1% health or so. Now it's 20%. So you're going to do more damage with your abilities only as they lose health. And then the maximum bonus damage threshold was 20%. Now it's 30. Oh, okay, so you're going to do 20% more damage while they're at 30% max health or 30% remaining health or less. So you're going to do more damage with your abilities overall. This is actually kind of nice because I've read a lot on Reddit that Duskblade, while it felt kind of cool, it didn't actually. Well, it felt cool by being untargetable. It didn't actually feel good in the damage that it did.
I agree. I was playing it. I'm like, this is so underwhelming. Everyone was saying it's gonna be broken because of the invulnerability for 1.5 seconds, but it's 10 seconds, so you can't proc it in a fight really, unless it's super extended. But at that point, who are you gonna need to be invulnerable from if there's only one person left? You know?
Yeah.
I think the invisibility was a lot stronger on it, and I don't know why people were saying it was gonna be a broken item. I think it sucks right now.
Yep. Okay, Echoes of Helia. The passive healing per shard was 20 to 100, and now it's 20 to at levels 1 through 8 scaling. Now it is 20 to 80, scaling levels 6 to 18. And then the passive damage per shard was 300 to, or 30 to 200, levels 1 to 18. Now it is 30 to 180, levels 6 through 18. So this is a nerf like every way that you go about it. The damage is down, the healing is down, and it also doesn't start to get better until level 6, which realistically, when are you getting your mythic before level 6 as a support? So this probably actually doesn't have an application the levels wise, but it does cap out. You're going to do less healing, you're going to do less damage, full stop always. I saw Echoes of I haven't played that much, but when I have been played, Echoes of Helia is in like every goddamn game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a game where Moonstone was picked.
Apparently, Ivern ADC, the recommended item is Moonstone. So
Yeah, same thing for mid lane, top lane. It's so good. I love Moonstone. Oh, actually.
okay, what's
That's
going
crazy,
on in that
actually.
brain?
No, I would have thought they would have done echoes because echoes you just get so much more damage out of it if you're going to go ADC. But Moonstone sounds like you're just trying to play support at that point. Just play with the Senna.
They probably are.
I
It's
don't know.
probably a Senna thing.
That's probably what they're doing.
Yeah. That's actually kind of a cool idea. I never thought about Ivern and Senna. That probably would work pretty well.
Because you have two ways to conceal yourself. You got the bush and then you got the Senna's shroud.
Ivern, Senna, bot lane with a Rengar jungle. Sounds like John's dream.
Oh yeah. Conceal me.
First it was the Leona Senna, now it's Ivern Senna.
Oh man. All right.
The double whammy.
Next item that we have is Gale Force. The active damage was decreased. So the flat damage actually wasn't decreased, but it's the scaling with crit strike chance. It was 250, now it's 200. These are percentages that it would increase it. And then the maximum execution damage was 160, now it's 150. So it's dealing slightly less damage. Probably not a ton, but it's getting some nerfs. We already thought that Gale Force was going to be not great. I remember us talking about it a couple weeks ago or last week. But did that hold up with what we were thinking? Matt, what do you think about the state of Gale Force before, and then how does this change affect it?
Gale Force was the better pick option over Navori Quickblade for before the nerf happened. And now Gale Force is getting nerfed. I think the Gale Force is getting... I'm not so sure why it's
Right, are a
getting
bunch of cowards.
but yeah, champions like Zaya are now just moving over to Navori Quickblades because of this nerf. It was an okay item. I felt was pretty happy. I didn't feel like it was crazy strong, but maybe I'm not seeing up high enough because high elo they can definitely use that movement speed and use the active a lot better.
I
One thing I've also actually seen, like with the Ghostblade nerfs, is the and I mean this is gross, but like I haven't tried it and I want to try it. Is Gale Force Rengar,
Oh
where
no.
you can you can use Gale Force to a bush and then jump on someone.
I feel like I've seen Gale
Pretty
Force on a
funny.
lot of other champions like Scion and what was the other champion?
Scion,
Garen?
Tryndamere, Yon, and Yasuo all
Tryndamere,
build
yeah.
Gale Force right now. Because Shield Bow is not a mythic anymore. But I think the execute damage on the active was just so strong, right? Because it's dual purpose. You can use it to get away, or
Right.
you can use it to finish off an opponent. And the scaling on it is pretty good. The damage, right?
Right.
The base is 150 at level 1, and so that's a pretty big execute threshold for a lot of champions. It goes to 350 and plus 250% crit strike chance. So if your crit strike chance is at 40, that's pretty significant damage that you're outputting, and then the execution damage too on top of it. So I thought it was really, really good, and I think I've really only seen this built on 80 carries. I haven't really seen IE built that much. I thought I was going to see a lot more of it, but IE seems pretty non-existent, and Navori Quickblade seems pretty niche too. So it seems like I didn't really see that much change in like the 80 carry mythics, and I thought I would see a lot more diversity. It's pretty much only been Gale Force or Ginsu's that I've been seeing.
Or Stormrazor.
But it's not a mythic though, right?
Oh, it's not mythic.
It's-
Yeah.
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 So yeah, Stormrazor's also really busted. That was the build I was going. I was going Stormrazors into Gale Force on Yon, and you're playing more of like an assassin than a fighter because there's no more survivability with Yon and Yasuo anymore.
Right.
They did
Same thing
give
with the AD carry.
Yeah, they did give him a slightly more HP scaling buff, but because of the shield bow nerfs, by making it legendary, you don't really have a go-to mythic, and you're just going for more damage at that point. So Gale Force and Stormrazor were actually doing a lot for Yon and Yasuo, and I think they're toning some of that down because of them, but I don't know. Would think they're still pretty weak right now because a single form of CC will kill you. It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool. Yeah, when I played Trinity, it definitely felt like I should have gone Gale Force earlier. I played like Static Shiv Rush, and it was terrible. But that item is getting touched a little bit later. So before we get onto that, let's talk about Kraken Slayer. So Kraken Slayer, the damage type was magic. Now it's physical, so it actually goes in line with the champions that are building it generally. And the change is that the damage was 20 plus 60% AD plus 45% AP. Now it is 35 to 85, levels 8 to 18, plus 65% AD plus 60% AP. So it has a higher AP ratio. It has slightly higher AD ratio, and the base is up as well at all points. This feels like it's a lot better, but it also needs to be. They need to juice the numbers since they're changing the damage to physical, because before you were able to just deal so much magic damage. Later on, crit marksmen were, because everyone would be building armor against you and everyone else building lethality across the map, and you'd be dealing a lot of magic damage. So now that's actually fixed back, so I get why they need to do this. But does this make the item actually feel better? I heard from a lot of people that Kraken actually didn't feel that good, especially early to be building. Matt, what do you think about this?
The only time I ever saw it get picked was with Belveth because they have to build it. I haven't seen it bot lane at all. The only time that the only times you would pick it by that point, you'd rather just take a Bork and the Rage Blade at that point and just build your other main ADC items, Bloodthirster, Kraken Slayer, a Wit's End type of style instead of trying to build this item.
I saw some people rushing it. It didn't work well for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's very underwhelming still.
Sure. Okay, so maybe this will make it feel better. Yep. So next one we have is, I don't know why they group these. It's like AD item, support item, AD item, support item, AD item, support item as we're scrolling down. But I'm gonna skip Moonstone. We'll come back to it. But
I think it's just alphabetical.
Oh, that's why. Never mind. Okay. Well, then I'll stick with their ordering since it does make some sense. So Moonstone, the chain heal was 25 to 30%, 20 to 35% based on ally level. Now it's 20 to 40. Still based on ally level. And then the single heal was 15 to 25. Now it's 15 to 30, also based on ally heal. So it's a slight buff to it. Late game, not early game. It's the same for most of the game. It's going to function. Thoughts on the Moonstone change, Bomo?
Seems fine, I guess. I don't really play a lot of other roles, so it's hard to speak on like support. But yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean. None of us do. We'd need Goose on here for that. But I just don't think that this really, like, since this isn't changing probably until level 15, realistically. It doesn't feel like this is going to be all that different because supports don't get to level 15 in a standard game, especially with how fast the games are, as you're saying. Like, I don't know. I don't think that this actually will come into effect. Now, when we go into a longer, slower meta and supports or champions in mid lane or top lane or so are building Moonstone, then yes, this will be impactful. But for the time being, this feels like it does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think right now it's all about damage. Healing isn't. Riot had that stance, right? They just want certain champions to heal, like Vladimir and Soraka and stuff like that. So these pseudo healing items just seem really out of place, especially for a mythic. Maybe if they made a legendary and made it a little bit more gold efficient, it could be good. But there's just no reason to build this over like the Echoes of Helia right now, right? You kind of get a little bit of damage and healing off of it, while this one just increases your healing, and that's already pretty niche in the game in itself.
Yeah, unless you're playing Soraka, which this is probably still better for her, everyone else that has heals or shields should be taking echoes. Yeah. Okay, so Navori, the recipe changed again. Now it is Caulfield's Warhammer plus BF Sword plus Cloak of Agility and 400 gold, and it used to be Caulfield's Pickaxe Cloak plus 825. It doesn't cost any more overall. It just the build path changed. The AD went up by 5. The ability haste went down by 5. The transcendent, so the cooldown reduction on that it would reduce your basic abilities on crit went down, or maybe it's every auto, went down from 12% to 15%, or it went up from 12% to 15%. The mythic passive changed. It was 5 ability haste, now it is 5 AD. This feels good because Navori, as you guys were talking about earlier, feels like it definitely felt second fiddle before, but now with this getting a buff and Gale Force getting a nerf, they're probably more in line.
Yeah, Zaya's taking this item. I don't know about Jin. What is Jin building right now with 1311?
Probably
See.
Storm Razor,
Probably
Gale
Storm Razor
Force.
as well.
Static.
Yeah.
the Gale Force dash on Jin is just so good.
It's
On
and
top of
really
his fourth
smoothly.
shot, it's
Yeah.
just too good.
Yeah, if
really
it
is.
would, Gale Force would have to get nerfed into the ground for him to change his core mythic.
Yeah, he's still building Gale Force.
Yeah. So
Cool. Yeah, that's nice. I enjoy it a lot.
okay, well here's an item that Jin is not building. Runan's Hurricane. The on-hit damage got hit in half. It was 30, now it's 15. So take that, Jin.
This
Yeah,
is one of those small little dinks I was saying about Jinx. Reducing the AD or attack speed, and then now you're taking away your second item nerf. It doesn't really affect like Kog'Maw, or it doesn't really affect Twitch, something like that, because you're still building your Bork and Rageblade as your 2 main items.
Sure.
It's as a third item, it's not really that big of a damage nerf, but early game wise, it's more impactful.
Sure.
That's all I got to say about that one.
John,
this
any
it
supplemental
felt
thoughts?
Insane. Yeah, I mean, it just felt like you were saying. I don't think it changes it that much for Kog'Maw, but it did seem absolutely insane on him.
Is Aphelios building this second? Or no? Because sometimes he, I mean, he used to a while ago, and now
I know he does build it, but I don't know when. He's usually a third item, is what it's looking like.
probably IE into Bloodthirster into that is my guess.
It's a Storm Razor first item, and then to IE.
Okay.
Or Gale Force, depending on whichever one you're feeling fancy to.
Sure. Okay. Well, speaking of other items, then Static Shiv. They say that Static Shiv launched a bit underpowered, and that's what I think basically everyone kind of felt that. So the energized damage that it would do as it would bounce between was 60 to 170. Now it is 80 to 190. Everything else about it is the same, other than the damage modifier to minions was 220. Now it's 250. So you're going to do more damage to minions. So it's going to amplify harder on minions, and it does more damage to champions, jungle monsters, etc. Still, this doesn't feel like it's enough. I think it needs further buffs to be considered seriously for most people. I see people gently nodding their heads. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was
The
underwhelming.
on-hit
though.
Veigar. Can't wait. I want to play that bot lane now so much. I want to try it out. It sounds so fun.
Sounds like a good idea for community night then. Nice. Bomo, any thoughts on Static Shiv? Were you building it on Yone?
I tried it and then it just sucked after like 1 or 2 games, and then I built it on Tristana mid. I'm like, the passive on your E is enough to clear the wave. It didn't really make that significant difference, and it felt pretty weak in fights. The shock damage was pretty underwhelming, so I want to see it buffed a little bit more.
Yeah.
I would like to see like the damage be associated with like your autos, maybe kind of like a Sivir W bounce almost, where it applies a portion of your damage as the shock, instead of it just being a flat amount, because you charge up by auto attacking and moving, right?
Yes.
And so if it seems like you can attach it to your damage, because it's pretty hard to stack up and you're not like using it like every auto attack type of thing. Yeah, it just doesn't seem that great.
It feels sort of weird. It feels like this is meant for an AD item, but then it has AP ratios for the damage, and it's that
Yeah,
awkward feeling of like, do I have to build AP now because I had this AP damage, or should I just keep on
yeah.
going 80 on hits?
That's why I'm thinking that Twisted Fate build with like
Right.
Guinsoo's plus Static Shiv and just you have your AP built into your kit and like your damage already, and you benefit that from your abilities, and just having on items now is even stronger. Kind of like you were saying with the Vagar bot build with the auto attacks. I feel like
Because
it's
you can clear waves a little bit
yeah,
more efficient now.
That being said, I have seen, and I'm sure you guys have seen videos as well of Echo building this, and now it's just going to be even better on him because it's so good for Echo. Static Shiv is.
Right.
That's the only champion I've seen that loves it, though.
Auto attacking AP champions. That's why I feel like this is good for right now because the AP ratios for the damage.
they'll probably
bonus.
have to fix the dash bug though. That doesn't seem right on Echo with Static Shiv. I think if that interaction is fixed, then maybe it's not as good. But
So for
Yes.
the listeners, what interaction are you talking about there?
so with Echo and Static Shiv, if you use your E to dash, you have an extended auto range where Echo will jump to the target. But with Static Shiv, he doesn't actually jump, right? He just does the auto attack from that range, and it'll shock everything. And so
Oh,
he doesn't have to commit with his with his dash in. So he can he E's autos them. It procs the Shiv, and then he can dash them if he wants to.
It's
So
based off of if he kills a target. So if he kills like a minion with his E, it'll instantly just reset him back where he was instead of putting him right where that minion died at. He should blink to that minion, but he doesn't blink to the minion, and it still procs a shiv.
well, that's fucked up.
To which then you
That
just get a
seems
line of shiv without even having to extend yourself even further.
yeah, it's pretty disgusting, and I'm surprised it hasn't been fixed.
Yeah. Okay, we got 2 items left, so let's get through this. Storm Razor, 80 down by 5, and the charge damage down by 10 flat, and the total AD ratio down by 5%. So where do we think that Storm Razor is at now? Because obviously it was a clear winner before. Is it still good? Matt, what do you think?
Still a first item. If you built this before because you need the movement speed, you're still going to be building this. It's not. It is a damage nerf, so yes, it hurts Jinx. Yes, it hurts Jin. Yes, it hurts all these other champions that still build it first. But you're building this for the ease of building queues because it's so much easier building this than an IE, and you're also building it because of that the movement speed that you get from it that you get and not from slowing somebody else. It's just so huge. It's so nice to have as an ADC. I felt like we underwhelmed the Storm Razor last time. We were like,
Yeah, we
it
did.
sounds like okay, but the movement speed you get from it is so huge. It's night and day.
yeah, I think it's still gonna be good. Like, just I mean, it was definitely I think a little overpowered. So I mean, everybody was rushing. It seemed like.
Yeah.
As far as ADC, and Rengar really liked it too. I mean, the movement speed felt insane with with this item on him, and then with Ghostblade. So
Well, speaking of Ghostblade, fantastic segue, John. It got nerfed because this, as Riot said, this was the clear winner of the last patch. Shocking. So the ability haste is going down by 5. The bonus lethality at max stacks was 8 to 20 based on level. Now it's 3 to 12 based on level, and then the distance per stack. That's the number of units needed to travel in order to generate the additional stacks was 45. Now it's 55. So you need to move a little bit. You need to basically you generate stacks 20% slower. Sorry, I jumbled over my words there, but I don't think that this is nearly enough. This is still a very good item. It's just that it's not absurdly fucking crazy.
Hecarim is still going to be
Yeah.
broken though. Oh my goodness. Just Hecarim is just way too strong right now. It's so disgusting watching Hecarim build this item.
You seen Lethality Jarvan build this?
I have not.
Oh, well, because he doesn't auto until after like his EQR, he's not discharging his extra stuff. So the R has 160 or maybe it's like 260% bonus AD plus all the lethality, and then his Q is 160 or something as well. It's absurd.
Jeez.
I saw him literally like R auto and maybe he was fed. I don't really know because I saw a clip. But R auto one shot an Ash.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
He was like
Those
level. He
plays
had
too
2
strong.
items. He had that and he had Prowler's Claw. He had 2 items. Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, I still think the items could be good,
Yeah.
quite good. I think you're still building it on Rengar for sure. Definitely, I don't think Duskblade's good enough yet to opt for that really over Duskblade or Ghostblade rather.
Yep. Okay, so last adjustment for Summoner's Rift is buff sharing is now here. So Ivern used to be the only one that has it, and Ivern still has it. But basically, whenever a jungler kills blue or red buff, while their smite is fully upgraded, they drop basically Ivern's passive on a buff appears. Any ally can pick it up by walking within the radius within a minute before it disappears. And if the jungle, and if like before with a buff, Ivern could pick it up. If someone else killed the buff, now it's the same. So if someone else kills the buff and the jungler has their smite fully upgraded, they can go walk over and pick up the copy of the buff as well. And it's still 1 minute. So I think that's pretty big. Now, I mean, it's very situational game to game about how it would actually impact, but it's big that you can share buffs, especially red buff, realistically, because now, Belveth and an ADC can have red buff, as opposed to a lot of junglers wanting to fight for red, like not really fight for red buff, but like, oh, sorry, ADC, I took red buff, whoops, where it was actually definitely intentional. And oh, sorry, I forgot, Draven. Oh no, I didn't forget.
Oops, I smited it while you were standing right next to me.
Yes. Or if you have a troll that's following you in the jungle and killing your jungle monsters, then you can still pick up the buff. Now you don't get the gold or the XP, but at least you get the buff from it. So, yeah. I don't know. Anything else you guys want to touch on for buff sharing?
Just makes the funneling a little bit easier.
Yeah. I think I like that it's at fully upgraded.
Yeah. Okay. There's some ARAM adjustments. The next clash is coming up. And then did anyone see any okay, I was just looking through bug fixes. One of them fixed an issue that resulted in Wit's End's total cost being 100 gold more than intended. That's a problem. They fixed a bug with Watchful Wardstone. Oh, interesting. Fixed a bug that would cause Aurelion Soul's R Shockwave to not appear if he was devoured by a Tahm Kench. I don't think that means it didn't work, it's just you didn't see it. That's a problem.
No, so his art with this bug, I remember seeing it actually. So basically, he would be fully stacked up, and then he would throw down his R, and it would just pop up as a normal R, not a fully stacked up R.
Oh,
So he wouldn't get the shockwave at all.
Oh, and would it discharge his Stardust?
I'm not so sure about that part, but I just know like the stacked up R would not, or sorry, full charge R would not come, just basically not appear at all.
Okay.
And so you could have a troll Tahm Kench that just stops you from casting your true ultimate.
Love it.
Roll Kench.
There's also one other one where fixed a bug where Zoe could still use Prowler's Claw active with her W, so that was a separate thing that was still in the game. So she was the only one that could use Prowler's Claw active for one patch, and now that's gone. Yeah, that's about it. It seems like there's some specific skin bug fixes as well. Regarding, I mean, it's about Caitlyn and Silas and Aatrox. So these are all champions that are getting skins or skin adjacent, I guess, for Silas. But yeah, the DRX skins look very cool. My personal favorite is Maokai, although, I mean, Aatrox has the prestige. Yeah, they're very cool. Check them out. But anything else that you guys want to bring out for this patch, or should we call it here?
We're good.
All right.
I don't have
Okay.
anything else.
Cool. So this has been patch 13.11 and also episode 811. If you have any feedback for us, please let us know at questions@trinityforcepodcast.com. Otherwise, you can send it or you can leave it in the feedback thread of our Discord server. Don't know where our Discord server is? That's on our website, trinityforcepodcast.com. Additionally, check out our Patreon if you want the different benefits that we have at different tiers. Go ahead and check those out. And we also have community game nights that are every Tuesday starting at 7:15 Eastern time, and they run for 3 to 4 hours, maybe sometimes 5, depending on how many people show up. The more the merrier. So if you want to get in some good community fun games and in-house custom matches and all sorts of stuff, whether those be Summoner's Rift or ARAM, sometimes we do some impromptu 1v1s as well. Come join us for those. But this has been episode 811, and thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Take care.